Hey there, music lovers. Welcome back to Riff Pulse Media. I'm your host, Kirill Malienko, and this is the very first episode of Riff Pulse Media Podcast, and I'm thrilled to kick things off with you. Whether you're a seasoned musician or simply someone who loves great tunes, you're at the right place. Today, I have a special guest joining me, my good friend, Dakota Brown, with over a decade of experience under his belt. He is as gear obsessed as I am. Not only Dakota shred on guitar with Wiltwither, he is also a really skilled luthier, and trust me, he got the chops to prove it. So grab yourself a cup of tea or a coffee, settle in, and let's dive into this conversation. All right, well, after several weeks of planning, we're finally doing this.
Yes.
Thank you for being a first guest of the Riff Pulse Media Podcast.
Let's go, man. Thank you for having me.
So we already chatted a bunch. Without recording. You're not going to get any of that. But yeah, thanks for doing it. And I know you have some good news that just happened recently. You just got endorsed by a company that I won't be able to pronounce, but you can.
I think it's either Skervesen or Skervesen, Polish, super boutique, fancy, metal-esque guitars. Very, very grateful. I've been playing their guitars for a very long time, and I never thought I'd be able to afford one. And incidentally, I have 3 now, but I'm also in debt. Musicians.
Yeah, musicians.
Yeah.
I mean, mayonnaise, and they're both Polish.
Yes.
So mayonnaise, hard to pronounce.
Yeah.
Skervesen,
Skervesen.
hard to pronounce. So I guess Polish guys are doing it right.
Yeah.
So what are you planning on getting?
Yeah, they a lot of their models usually fall under the traditional like super shredder, sharp, Strat style, and that's pretty much the 3 that I have. They have a Raptor model, which is very reminiscent of like an Ibanez RG. They have a couple others that are more offset kind of RGs. I was not aware that they made a Jazzmaster style body until recently, and I'm definitely looking for that one. Something a little groovy, very simple.
Didn't you tell me that it's going to be the last one they make?
That is what I've been told, that they're pulling production on the Jazzmaster body and doing away with it, which I get it. It's a very specific taste, but I've grown to really like Jazzmasters. Growing up, like watching Kurt Cobain, handful of people playing Jazzmasters, I just thought it was such a cool surf kind of shape. It's cool.
If you ask me, if you could have a story that you have the last, Jazzmaster style guitar made by them,
Yeah.
that's pretty epic.
I
mean,
You don't see them a whole lot in their brand. I think that's why I missed it the first time. Is I only maybe have seen it once on their Instagram, but not super popular model for them. But I think it looks super cool, something different, and I have a lot of the same looking guitars. A lot of Strats, a lot of sharp Ibanez style guitars, and I want to do something a little different. I play a Telecaster and I play a Jazzmaster live, and I've really grown fond of the Jazzmaster shape. I just think it's so cool. Kind of my 2 cents on it, but yeah, I like it all. I've never really liked Les Pauls. They're just not really for me. But over time, I really have kind of grown to like them as well. Probably wouldn't play one live personally, but they're very cool. There's a time and place for them. Just not for me.
we as a guitar player started just with just gear.
Yep.
No
theory.
Yeah. Let's go over. So obviously you play guitar for Wiltwither.
Yes. Yes.
The Wiltwither.
Wiltwither, correct.
Wiltwither. So I'm Russian. You give me a slack there.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. And what's the lowest tuning you play?
Oh, so naturally we tune our guitars to double drop E. typically on a 7 or 8 string, it would be E, A, and then E standard. So low 2 notes are E and A. We pitch shift to C sharp, so 3 half tones down, and then 5 half tones down to B. Our lowest songs, Wiltwither 1 and Locked Away, are both in double drop B, which is inaudible at that point. It is very hard to navigate, getting the tone and getting things to work, as we intend in that range. But yeah, double drop B. So B for bass.
Double drop B. That's the reason why you don't play Les Paul guitars.
Yeah.
Because 24.7 scale length, you would have to
Right out
have
the window.
a 90 string or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
At
be
that
pretty
point.
bad. So
Yeah.
So you said you play Telly. I know you have a Telly with Evertune.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how that was like, because I never got an Evertune installed after buying a guitar, because they have the installation program.
Mm-hmm.
I only bought it's a Mark Holcomb PRS, which was Guitar Center used special. Yeah, like $700 or something like that with Evertune.
Yeah.
So that's probably the only Evertune guitar I owned. So pretty much just, I guess, go over the process. Did you go into any problems with that? Well, not with that, but like overall, or no?
Yeah, so they have a traditional set of guitars that can accept Evertunes without any crazy modifications. Mind you, if a guitar doesn't come with an Evertune, you have to route the body, the back of the body. You have to do drill press drilling to it. Being a guitar technician, there's a limit of what I will do. I've looked into becoming an installer for them, and it's just with my current schedule, I just I didn't really opt for that yet. But certain guitars, like the traditional tunematic style bridges, like the strings laying over the little the saddle piece, those have to, because the neck is tilted back a specific way, you have to install a riser plate. So they fabricate a riser plate underneath the bridge, and I sent it directly to Evertune to have my Telecaster retrofitted. So other than that, I'm pretty sure it's either that, or if you have a Floyd Rose style guitar that needs Evertune, they put a plate around it to kind of hide the routing, the previous routing for it. So it's doable on most guitars, unless it's like super thin, like a S series Ibanez. I don't think, you couldn't do that on one of those, but I've fallen in love with them. It really cuts down a lot of the time that we use in the tracking atmosphere. It really just keeps it nice and very consistent. I show up, I do very fine tuning tweaks, good to go the whole show. They're awesome. The order I'll be placing with Skervesen, Evertune. At this point, I mean, if I'm playing live or recording with guitar, like, I would prefer.
What's the scale length?
28 inch.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yes.
The longest scale I played is when we recorded with Skellen, is the PRS mic Mushok.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's 27.7. Mm-hmm. And it's guitar for giants. It literally feels like you are that tiny little baby trying to play guitar, because stretches. I don't have big hands, so that was, hard for me. And obviously pinch harmonics also, it was a little hard. Yeah. So 28, I can't even imagine. Well, 0.3 inches longer, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, it's close enough, but even longer.
Yeah. There's a trade-off. Yes, it's going to be a little bit more strenuous on your hands with the string gauges and the length, but I notice that the clarity that you get at lower tunings, the trade-off is incredible. Lately, I've purchased, I was actually gifted a Bass 6 by my very best friend Kirill, which is a 30-inch. So it's the marriage between a guitar and a bass at that point. You know, it's a short scale bass, I believe, is 32 inches long, typically, give or take. It's bass range. And we started tracking with it because it's just so, there's this clarity in like everything that like sounds incredible. I'm not gonna really go over throughout history all the people that actually played basics, that you listen to old records and you're like, oh wow, that guitar sounds incredible. A lot of the early musicians, guitarists,
Like Loath.
oh, even I'm talking like 70s and 80s. There's a lot of people that actually tracked with bass sixes.
You went like way
Yes.
back. You went way back.
Yes. Yeah. No, there's a lot of early rock bands that that played on bass sixes and would layer that over Stratocasters, Telecasters, and Jaguars, and it adds a layer, an octave layer that's just like really cool. Yeah, I love it. 27 is really cool. I'm used to 27. It's very not predictable, but I've grown very comfortable in that range. I have a guitar with a 28-inch scale, and it's just exactly what I want.
Which one is it?
It's a Hoppus, I think is how you pronounce it. It's an 8-string. And they're most known for making guitars for Throne and a list of other bands. But yes, they're very, very cool extended range guitars. 28 is kind of like my favorite middle ground.
Throne. We need to talk about how long their songs. Like this is like minute 30, minute 40. You know, something like around 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And like millions of, probably, I believe millions of monthly listeners.
Yeah.
And really good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. They do something interesting.
They're doing the right thing for heavy music. I'm not sure if you recently, left field, I'm not sure if you heard the new Knock Loose song with Poppy, Suffocate.
I checked it out today while setting this up, so I wasn't paying as much attention. But I saw a meme where it's Poppy doing a song with baritones, I believe, and it was like a Toy Story dinosaur.
Yeah.
And it says Poppy doing a song with Knock Loose, and it's just that vicious, T-Rex going. Yeah. So I need to double check that.
Yeah.
So you use, obviously guitar-wise, we went over this. What do you use as your amps? Because I know you have a pretty decent amp collection.
Yeah.
And you use processors. So
yeah.
What do you do? What do you use? What do you like?
Sure. Live, I'm on the Quad Cortex train. Love it. It's great. They've been very helpful. I had an issue with mine. It actually like Windows crash, blue screen, and just stopped working. And I had a show like the next week, and I could not get this thing to turn back on. It wasn't an update thing. It wasn't any kind of like, I left it in its case. There's no water. Like my case is like waterproof. Like it is a case within a case on a pedal board, screen protector. It is like, I take care of myself, my stuff and myself.
Both.
Musicians. It was perfect environment. And I go to boot it up to do some like tone fixing before, our show. I usually do that every time that we play a show. I'll always like micromanage everything, cables, all that. I turn on, all the pedal lights turn on, the screen is black, and then it shuts back down. And it'll just keep doing that. It'll like try to start and just black out. And it did it like 6 times. And I'm sitting here like,
yeah, that's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I have one not similar story, but when Alex, our bassist, he plays Neural DSP for Cortex as well. And then we downloaded a patch, a preset.
Yeah.
And there was a cloud downloaded preset. And what happened next week, the preset, same thing. He just turned it off, turned it on. The preset doesn't sound the same. Like it's just out of whack. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Like almost like someone went into the cloud and messed with it,
Yeah.
which is not the case.
You got hacked.
That was the only like iffy situation because I'm like, what if it would be a show?
Yeah.
And then your preset, especially as a bassist, you most likely use like one preset.
Yeah.
It's just
Off.
Yeah. Off. It would be like,
Yeah.
what?
Oh yeah, I was beside myself. I wasn't able to get it back within time for the gig, which is totally cool. I didn't expect them to like fix it overnight and send it right back. No foul, no harm. But I use my other guitarist's Helix for the meantime. That's the only time I've ever had issues with it, and I've put plenty of gigs through this unit, and they sent it back and it was fine, and I've loved it. I've updated it since then, and then I've done all the adjustments to everything, and I'm always on their website looking at what they're adding every time. It's a great unit. It's super powerful, and I've used a lot of modelers. I sold my Kemper, my Axe-Fx FM3 because I wanted something smaller. And I wanted a pedal board because a lot of what we do in Wiltwither is a lot of, expression pedals and pitches, and we're moving on the pedal board just a little bit. And I wanted something that kind of facilitated that. And I used a Kemper. I mean, you remember, early on, I used a Kemper for over 5 years.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, they're like 12 years old now, and they're still like incredible units. Like they're made very well. It's German engineering. I mean,
It's lasted longer than German cars.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I had a few Audis and they don't.
I remember.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I use that. I use a couple of pitch pedals and a wireless, and pretty simple. Quad Cortex, Digitech, drop pedal, MIDI switcher for everything, wireless. I keep it pretty simple live. Even my patches aren't like crazy. We talked about this earlier, how like simplicity is the key to like really dialing this in. Through touring with bands like Weeping Wound, talking to a good buddy of mine, Patrick, that I made friends with on this tour that we did with them. He was just like, hey, I was like, dude, how do you get your like live guitars sound like that? It's just like, he has like little tiny, like he does octave down with playing in like the regular low tuning, and it's just explosive. They only do it a little bit, but their patches are very simple. It's like amp block, cab, and then a distortion in the front, and there's no double EQing, there's no pre-EQing. I watch like Buster and Will Putney and all these guys, and like in the recording field, they're all the small incremental decisions that they make go a long way. In my field, and what I've experienced is like keeping it simple live, but knowing exactly how to tweak the certain things specifically.
We can kind of separate the recording field from live.
Yeah.
Because I feel like me sitting, we obviously played a show recently, me sitting and obsessing over a lot of backing tracks and EQs and sound and compression, and then hearing it live, you just like, it's more than half of the stuff getting lost. Yeah. And then I heard this from other musicians that either if you make a mistake on stage, that's probably 90% of people not going to realize,
right.
Or if you are present on 6 or 7 versus 5,
you'll hear it, but everyone else, they're like,
they're probably the same stuff. Yeah.
So back to the setup, I obsess over tube amps and pedals and all that stuff, but I leave that at the house. I'm 26, so I don't have a whole lot of seniority when it comes to like back pain. I'm not gonna go over that right now. I have a big cab. That's about it. But at home, I 5150 Stealth, because you have to. It's not actually mine. It's a good buddy of mine, Rob's. He has loaned it for me for forever.
Shout out to Rob.
Rob, the GOAT.
Hit me up.
Yeah, real. He loaned a 100-watt 5150 Stealth to me, and It is incredible. Some years ago, I got laid off from a very, very well-paying job remote work. And with my severance package, I bought my dream amp. I was like,
I know where you're going with this.
Full send.
Yeah.
Omega Grandifier.
Yeah.
Just beast of an amp. I've always wanted it. It's the exact everything that I want in an amp. One channel, 100 watt, angry. Like,
I have a question. So,
yes.
Obviously, you probably have a Neural DSP Omega.
Hmm?
So, did it happen that you downloaded the plugin first
Yes.
and then you did it?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
do you think they do it like almost like as an advertisement? Like, Soldano?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it works.
It's an interesting age we live in. You can get album quality tones with digital gear. The whole tube amp appeal still exists. There's a lot you can do. I mean, you have Axe Effects. You know how you can change the power sag of an amp to react like it's being the fine tuning that you can get with the equipment these days. There's no debate. I mean, it's you don't need tube amps anymore. They're incredible. I'm a tube amp advocate. I love them. They're great. You'll never see me play live with one anymore. There's too many things that can go wrong.
That plus was going that low.
Yeah.
I would still probably stick with digital because of the
inconsistency.
level of control and everything that you could have.
Right.
For sure. So you have 2 amps? More?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I actually blend them with my pedal board, and they both have very different, distinct qualities that complement each other in different ways. I run the Omega pretty hot on the mids and low end, and I really try to get that like angry rhythm tone out of it. And then the Stealth, I have it very present and tight and high end. Separate, there's things I don't like about the specific thing I'm trying to get with both of them, but together it is a wall. It is just a wall of this very controlled, tight, but insanely aggressive rhythm tone. And pedal board's crazy. I mean, I could spend the next hour telling you about my pedal board. I have like 5 overdrives all doing different things, and I MIDI and I chain different ones together. So, or not MIDI, but like I have it into a pedal switcher, and they're turning certain things on together. Lately, I really like that HM2 sound. Everyone's like going back to you remember like the Boss heavy metal?
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. I used to have a Digitech Grunge. Yeah. That's one of my first. That's my first distortion pedal. I don't know why it was grunge, but it looked cool. It had that crackled purple paint on it. Yeah. That's my first pedal. But yeah.
I went through the metal zone. I had the metal, like my dad, he took me to Guitar Center. I had my pawn shop half stack, solid state amp, and I was like, Dad, I want a pedal. I want to sound like Lamb of God. And the guy was like, well, we have this. And he hands me the Boss Metal Zone 2. And I was like, okay. And I just leave. No power supply, no cables. Like, I have nothing.
It probably takes batteries though, right?
I had nothing. Okay. I went home and I was like, yeah.
Yeah. You can look at it. You can look at it.
I could plug it in. We got that all situated, and I turned it on. And I'm just like, oh my God, it sounds like bees. It sounds like wasps.
Yeah.
But it's funny because like everyone's regressing back to like making their guitar sound terrible, and I love that.
Well, I just saw. It's gonna fix your mic real quick. Oh, thank you. Just like this. So I just saw a guy making a tutorial on YouTube how to make your Axe Effects sound like, because it doesn't have the Metal Zone pedal as an emulation,
right?
But it's a tutorial how to make it sound like it. So we evolved as guitar players,
right,
to using Axe Effects to emulate
the B pedal.
To B pedal, yes. So that's
yeah.
I don't know where we'll get.
We're devolving.
Yeah.
As this, yeah. That's actually really funny. That's what I love these days is like, we went through the whole very polished metalcore. Like everything has to be tight. Everyone was scooping their mids. Everyone was just like, we just need it to sound like uniform. It needs to have this space. It can't be too crazy. It needs to be tight. It needs to do all these things, but it has to be like, it can't be too much. And now it's like, there's some very crazy nuances that are kind of being implemented into guitar. Again, it kind of reminds me when the Big Muff pedal came out. And like, it changed kind of like everyone's perspective. It's like your guitar can kind of sound bad. It's cool. In context of an entire band, it can work. Lately, there's a pedal that was actually out of Durham, North Carolina called Abominable Electronics. And they make a pedal called the Throne Torture. And I've done my fair share of research on these specific pedals. And it's like that HM2 sound. It's like that chainsaw, angry, knocked loose, and crazy sound. I love that pedal. It always is on when I'm playing through my tube amps. It's just always on. I love the Life pedal. That's a octave, rat, distortion, crazy, wall of sound. That's what I'm achieving these days, or trying to achieve, is like getting that like wall of like angry guitar.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's with the rise of the bands like Knock Loose, probably anything that Will Putney does.
Yeah.
It's just that crazy sound. Code Orange.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Code Orange or Code Red?
It's Code Orange. You're thinking about Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Yes, Code Orange. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
that chainsaw type of sound, which is, I mean, I feel like as any trend, any fashion or music, or probably sometimes even cars, you just go in those waves where it's just like, okay, baggy, skinny, skinny.
Yep. It's cashmere.
Yeah. So, so you play guitar for how long now? Many years.
We'll say 12 years.
12 years?
We'll say 12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
And how's your journey as a who inspired you to pick up guitar, or how did this happen?
My sister. A very dawning, like a dawning moment in my life of starting guitar is watching my sister. She introduced me to so many bands. She was really big into Smashing Pumpkins. She loved Radiohead and Soundgarden, and she showed me Deftones, and she was there for a lot of the Limp Bizkit and Korn and Stone Temple Pilots, and she heavily influenced a lot of what I was listening to. She had this really, so it's Ovation guitars, like the acoustic guitars. They have the round back to them. They're like
kind of like James Hetfield.
No, not at all. So they're like acoustic guitars. The top, I believe, is wood, like spruce or sapelli, but the back is like a composite material.
Oh yeah.
And they like, you'll play them and they'll roll because the back is literally like a dome, a half dome.
In Russia, we, as you can imagine, the brands are, main brands, big brands are the same.
Yeah,
but some of the like cheap stuff. For instance, I used to play a brand of the guitar that called Zombie.
Okay.
I don't know if you had it here, but like that's what's different. Sometimes you have some stuff that's cheaper stuff. Yeah. That's like so off brand and so weird. That's probably is completely different. Yeah. But I've seen the acoustics with a plastic composite round type of,
on the back.
Yeah.
She had an Applause Ovation, which, as I understand it, is like the entry level of the Ovation guitars. There's a picture when I'm like a little boy. I'm like small. I'm like, I can't even hold up a ukulele, like small. I'm like 4. Yeah. And I have a picture of her playing. Both my sisters are very heavily into the arts. My older sister guitar. My younger sister, she's like a full blown artist, like painting, commission painting, her whole life. Nicole got me into playing guitar. With this guitar, she was learning finger picking and classical guitar, and she was playing, nu metal and rock, and I was just always amazed by the whole coordination of the hands and of course what it sounds like. And I couldn't hold a guitar. One of my earliest memories is her like sitting with me and like putting my hands in the places and everything and showing me chords and just watching her play. Years later, she gives me this guitar. And I like the emotions that I was going through was crazy, because it's like full circle moment. We'll talk a lot about full circle moments. And this is recent. This is in the last 2 years. She gave me this guitar, and like, there's no words. I mean, it's so cool, because like, it's all like for like the encouragement of my family, and like they saw me take interest in something, and like they're like, you do whatever you want. We just want you to be happy and not be on drugs or steal or rob. So like it's really cool, because it was a really big sentiment to have like. The guitar's unplayable. I mean, it's sat in a closet for years, but I still have it, and it's like prized possession of mine. And she introduced me into rock and everything. I'm going to tell a very consolidated story real quick that will lead and transition into one of the biggest moments of my musical career with my band. Have you been to FYE? It's like an entertainment store. They sell records, and usually in malls. It's FYE for your entertainment.
The one that has like Naruto in it? Yeah. I've been in Concord Mall. There's one there, right?
There's one in there.
Yeah.
And so they sell records. They've been around for quite a while. When I was maybe 15, 16, Nicole took me here, and I'm not sure. It might have been Charlotte. Who knows? She took me to FYE, and she was like, hey, I have to run some errands. I'm going to let you pick out some music, do your thing, like listen to some records, like check it out. And they have like the headphones you could put on, and you can test out the songs, and you can scroll through and everything. And I spent like an hour and a half in here, and I was going through the metal section. In my hometown, we had a Christian bookstore. There was no record shop. They had a Christian bookstore that sold like Demon Hunter and like Red and like Christian metal. Like,
okay, yeah. Memphis Mayfire.
Yeah. Not even. Maybe now, not even at the time. They were like strictly like gospel Demon Hunter. And I was like, I guess I like Demon Hunter. So this is my first, like, I can pick out whatever I want to listen to. And I want to make an informed decision. I wanted to listen to like what I'm about to, the first records I'm going to get. Because a lot of what I had at this point was like Hand Me Down, Rush, Journey, Leonard Skinner, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
My dad collected CDs.
Same.
Right. Big duffel bag full of, CDs and records, and limited selection, but very good selection. This is the first time they were like, you get what you want. Listen to everything. We're not going to influence your decision. It was like an unspoken thing. Like this is your time to figure out what you want to get. It's a big thing for me. So like hour and a half, I'm listening to, every record. There's like Lamb of God. I'm like, I've listened to Lamb of God. Like, they're amazing. I've listened to these songs. I don't need to, buy an album. Want something new. And I think I was really intrigued by a lot of the artwork the covers of the albums. The 3 records I picked up was As Daylight Dies by Killswitch Engage, the deluxe edition with like it folds out and all the artwork. And it had a B-side with extra songs, or a second CD with the extra songs. Jane Doe by Converge, which I got that record just because of the sheer shock factor of like putting mathcore, like early mathcore, like crazy music on. And I'm like, let's say this.
I don't know what's going on, but I kind of like it.
Exactly. I was immediately like, yep. I just immediately knew. I was like, the energy in this band is insane. I'm going for it. So Jane Doe. The last one is Messengers by August Burns Red. I heard Backburner, like the riff, like crazy technicality, like their drummer, insane, influenced so many bands. I fell in love with August Burns Red. I was looking at my old Facebook years ago. I would make compilations of like learning all of the August Burns Red riffs, like all of my favorite riffs, because they defined like a lot of my taste at the time, you know. Incidentally, my band is opening for them very soon, and there's no words. There's just no words. Like, we didn't know if we could get the show, and like routing, and it's just like a bunch of variables. And like very recently, they were like, "Yeah, like let's go for it." And I'm just sitting here like, wow. I have a picture with Jake when I was a child at Warped Tour.
Yeah, I saw that today early because you posted, I believe, today about the show.
Yeah, we announced it today. Yeah. I'm sunburnt, like, dude. I'm like dark red. Yeah. Like, Warped Tour.
How old are you there?
I was like 15 or 16. Yeah. It was right around that time.
Short hair.
Yeah. Short hair. Yeah. Yep. Really cool. Really cool. The energy that they like had, you know, they used to have the shark guy come out during their show and throw beach balls and everything. It was really cool.
Do you think when I get to play, it's going to be like even more of a like mind blow?
Yes. I think this is like the fourth time I've played with a band where it's like, what am I doing here? I'm just like,
it's probably been Thornhill, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe Silent Planet.
For sure.
Okay, so that's August Burns Red. Yep. It's going to be in what else?
Invent Animates.
Okay, yeah.
Top 3 favorite bands. I mean, everything they're doing, everything they've done, what their music like means to me, how it like, you know, it's just the composition, the lyrical content, what the songs are about, everything, like how people interpret it, the message, everything, stage presence, everything. It's my favorite. Playing with them December 2 years ago blew my mind. It was next level. So like, I feel like when you're a musician and you get these moments where you're like able to be alongside some of your idols, like it's really weird at first. And then it's like, we're all just normal people. Yeah. They've just been doing what we've been doing so much longer and to a higher caliber than us. That it really puts in perspective, like persistence, like how much you have to sacrifice to continue doing this lifestyle and continue sacrificing and asking your loved ones and the people associated, you know, with you to like, you know, support you. And it's a great toll. And
unfortunately, second camera died. Had to check on that.
It's going to heaven. It's okay.
Yeah, but well, it didn't die. The memory card is just full. Anyway, I'm gonna circle around on the same topic. I feel like every time we have something as musicians, when we realize that it's not like you made it, but it's a big thing for you, is when obviously you either play with someone that you looked up to or stuff like that.
They're milestones.
Yeah. One of my moments, which is a little different, is when we recorded with Kellen. So back in the days, I'm still in Russia. As a gearhead, I'm looking at the videos, gear reviews, like whoever uses like what on tour or whatever. This is a Wentz Warped Tour video, what Kellen McGregor uses is his guitars. And he shows a bunch of PRSs, and one of them is the custom-made PRS. He says, "Oh, this is my first custom, this and that." And that was like, I don't know how many years ago, but like I said, I'm still in Russia. So now we're recording with him. We're in studio with him. And then he kind of like goes in the closet. He gets the guitar and he just like gets the guitar and puts it in my hand. And I sit there like, in
awe.
Yeah. And I already obviously moved this whole like journey moving to America. And I'm sitting with this exact same guitar in my hand. And then it was like my mind just like, what just happened? Just exploded.
Yeah.
So stuff like that is cool.
Very normal to him. Very like.
Yeah.
Check out my cool guitar, and you're just like, it's like someone hands you Excalibur. It's like
kinda. Yeah. It's
like
not
a holy
like,
relic.
yeah. It's not like I would say it's like, oh, it was a cool guitar, but at the same time, it's more so of a two different points of time connecting together.
Yeah.
And you just like
full circle moments.
Yeah. I don't know that's even possible that would happen ever.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I know that you guys worked on some new material.
Yeah. We do most of pretty much everything DIY. Shout out Elliot from the band Our Common Collapse. He is our sound design engineer. Mm-hmm. We have very specific needs, I think, in our music that we're trying to be more, I don't want to say esoteric or like, we just want to be, different. Everyone wants to be unique and different. But we, over the years of writing our material, have found our niche, or like we have started to really like dial in that niche sound that everyone brings to the table. Because we're very communal with our songwriting. Like Tyler and I will start a song, or he will start a song with Joshua. Nick comes in, Anna comes in. Everyone, communally will contribute. And Elliot at this point has become a very, very important and very helpful, cog in the machine. He really understands us. He understands what because sound design is very like specific. It serves a very big purpose, but it's so like background most of the time in the music that we really want that to be like important and very like well constructed. And I think every single time he kills it. Somehow he gets better every single time. I've taken lessons with him on production, and I really respect everything he's done. He's incredibly talented. He's working on a bunch of our songs. At this point, this year, we have 2 songs released. We are releasing our EP, The Yellow Wallpaper, this year. So we have a handful of songs left that has not been released to the public. Next year, we plan on releasing an entire full length for the first time. 10, 12 songs. We have most of those already recorded as far as demo tracking, but we're going to do things different this time. Most of the time, we meet up at Tyler's house. We track there, demo track. Tyler will then do his magic with the mixing and mastering and production, and then we'll send it off to Elliot. Elliot will design the sound design accordingly, and then we master it all together. This time, we want to actually go to a remote location, do it all in a week. Like have all the demos ready, and then for the first time, we're actually going to do it all in one take and just like bang it out, 8-10 hours a day.
Kind of get it like a Airbnb and something like that, maybe somewhere in the mountains or something. Yeah.
That's the plan. I'm very excited for that because it's very different for us. A lot of bands, I think, when you force yourself to put out a song, like you'll get 2 hours in, the gears will stop moving, you'll get bored, you'll need to take breaks, someone gets distracted, usually me. I'm like, maybe we should. I think this will force us outside of our comfort zone and really make us more driven to make the best use of this time. especially if we're taking off work for a week. That's a lot. We were talking about sacrifices, and that's a big one. You have to be very useful these days as far as what you do with your time. Especially as musicians, like it's a highly competitive market. Obviously, that goes without saying. But especially with there's so many people that can do everything themselves. I watched this guy on YouTube. I don't know his name, but he can reconstruct songs without any physical instruments. He can take VSTs and recreate songs and get them right there. It really puts in perspective the technology and how one person can really do the whole job. So that puts kind of pressure, I think, on us, indirectly to try to make the best use of our time. It's an interesting day and age that we live in where technology is surpassing like the AI stuff. Everything is like surpassing like the human boundaries of what humans can do these days. And like people are always gonna say, oh, well, AI can't reproduce like human emotion in music. It's like, have you listened to AI music? Like,
especially metal music.
Yeah, it's like, I can't play that. I can't play that, to time. Like, I'm gonna be dragging.
Well, live, they can't do it live.
Yeah.
Well,
dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, that
Terminator.
brings me to or
with a headless guitar.
Static X.
Yeah.
When they have a robot.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. It was a robot. Now it's not a robot. I don't even know. There's gonna be AI.
Hey, you never know these days.
Yeah.
Who's to say? I'm really excited. It's gonna be different for us to do secluded environment and force it out kind of in a way, but I'm excited at the same time.
No, sometimes you gotta switch it up.
I know in your perspective in your band, you all live very close. You have a dedicated area. You have like a rehearsal place. You have everything ready to go. Currently, we have no practice space. We have no recording space.
Oh, how do you guys practice? You don't?
Well, everyone's going through some moving changes right now.
Okay.
Unfortunately, our bassist lives in like Savannah, Georgia. The rest of the band lives in Columbia. I live in Charlotte, like Columbia, South Carolina. We're all spread out pretty far, but we make it work. For the longest time, we didn't practice. We would practice at home and like wing it, but like we're at a point now where it's like you have to practice, really do. So we're navigating that, trying to find a rehearsal space. It used to be you could just go to like a moving storage company, and we used to practice there, but they've changed a lot of the rules of allowing bands in. They have like a spot for bands to rehearse now, but it's like $400 a day on average. So it's like, it's hard. It's tough.
Yeah, some of the bands, for instance, the Tremont, the cover tribute band that I play in, we literally, a lot of times, we have like one or few rehearsals before the show, and it works, but it's covers. So it's slightly different as long as everyone, but I feel like it's more professional musicians. To me, especially if you're playing to a metronome, or if you have ears, I could literally in my ears have metronome, my guitar, maybe some backing tracks too, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's the difference between me playing just to this or playing to, same thing live?
Yeah.
So it's like the same thing. As long as everyone knows their parts and they know where, like, the flow of the set.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Such something that might actually benefit your guys' band is have ears.
Yeah.
And then especially having a project set up where maybe you just press space bar and it just goes like, let's say 30-minute set. You put press a space bar and it just goes to the end.
Right.
You don't stop it. And then everyone kind of knows, okay, so this is how much time I have between this song,
right,
whatever. Put all the cues you needed.
That's how I practice at home. When we go live, I have no in-ears, so it's memory. We want to do the in-ear thing right. Like I said earlier, I really like, it's not worth it for us to kind of cheap out on that. We need to, invest in the right equipment so it lasts. I don't want to be heavily dependent on in-ears and then have cheap in-ears go out while we're on tour and then we can't play the set.
Yeah.
When you get the equipment to work with your band and you're used to having backup plans, fortunately, if our in-ears go out or if anyone's in-ear goes out, if our backtracks go out, we can play the set. We don't need the backtracks. It's not going to be as tight. It's going to sound different. We can still play.
Do you have a lot of stuff in backing tracks?
Yeah.
Like sub drops?
Yeah. A lot of cinematic post-production. A lot of... we started adding... Like, we have a dubstep song, like, interlude between our set. Mm-hmm. We have, like, a piano, kind of like a neo-soul, I guess, kind of...
Yeah,
jazz,
different stuff.
We add parts like that to kind of diversify, I guess, our sound and try to make everything a little bit more interesting. I really like it, but it doesn't require us to, be locked into our MP3. Like we can still play our set. We always kind of pride ourselves in being able to do that and not rely on the technology. That's out of necessity because we couldn't afford in-ears. Mm-hmm. There's a handful of bands that we played with that very recently we'd go on tours with them. They have new equipment and they're like, hey, we practice without all of this stuff. We're good to go. That's the goal. There's no point where I think we'll get big enough to where we're like, hey, like if this goes out, we have to get another laptop or we have to X, Y, Z. And I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing, but I never want to rely that heavily. I want to have a contingency plan where everything goes out, we can still play.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So.
There's always like a plan B type of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important, if technology could go out any time,
right?
It always could happen. So what's the upcoming shows that you have?
Yep. So I know for a fact we're doing...
You're doing a Lanny Day show in Charlotte.
That's going to be really cool. That's at Amos.
Yeah.
We're doing May 13th at the Senate in South Carolina. And we're doing that with August Burns Red, Fuming Mouth, and Sunmancer. We're doing the 23rd at the Radio Room with... Cabal, Born Anew, Float Omen, and Backslide. Shout out Backslide and Float Omen. Great dudes. Can't wait for that one. Milestone, we're doing Heirloom, Den of Wolves, Fury and Few, and Mass Critic. That's the 25th. So we're kind of like doing a weekender kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then we'll be riding in between the 23rd and 25th. And then we're doing the Amos show on September 14th. Lana Day, Dirty Lowdown, and Winter's Gate. It's like family. Every time we play shows like that, like I just always have a great time.
Oh yeah, is the Fillmore? Is it the album presentation?
That one is the Amos. Amos's South.
The Amos is going to be album presentation.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I need to.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Milestone is the 25th.
Oh, sorry, I said Fillmore.
You're fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I see. I'm thinking ahead.
Yeah. I love the Fillmore. Charlotte has such a great number of venues. Kind of sidetracking real quick. I grew up very close to like Boone, App State area, and we had like house shows and like, like recreational centers. Yeah. Seeing your guys' show at the premiere was incredible because I've never been to a venue of that caliber in Hickory. I didn't think it existed.
Yeah.
No shade to Hickory, but I would always go to recreational centers and house shows. There was no formal venue. So it was really cool to see, like, especially your guys' first show being at like a proper place in somewhere where I never thought was possible. They had a record shop in Lenore that we played shows at. that was kind of the spot. Super cool spot, but proper venue like that was really cool.
Yeah, the Premiere is an interesting venue because it's a backline company in the first place. So that place, regardless of a venue being there or not, the building is still the same company. So for them, it's like, okay, we could put shows on or we could not. It doesn't hurt us because this is not our main thing that we do.
Yeah.
And then being a backline company and having all the lights and all the equipment, it's just amazing how sound and lights and everything that they could do. And it's also a venue that kind of being like, we might do it, we might not. We don't really care.
Perfect circumstance for a venue. Yeah. And it was really cool. I mean, they know what they're doing there for sure.
Oh, yeah, it sounded good. Well, as far as I heard, I was on the other side of of everything. So I know that you guys touring and you will be touring. So do you have any tips or like recommendations on people that may be just getting into touring, or maybe obviously some people just want to stay prepared ahead of time, because I'm one of those people. I'm like, hey, let me research that before I do that.
There's 3 things that are crucial. Air tags on all your equipment.
Okay.
Even if you can't afford Apple AirTags, go to Walmart, get the on trackers.
Yeah.
Something so that your gear doesn't get stolen. You need it. Gym memberships. I know we're going to go into a little bit more about the healthiness on the road, but having a place to shower, work out, especially if you're doing a tour, you know, I'm not going to go into the specifics about how long a tour is. If you're on the road for a week, 5 days, there's a certain point where you're going to get homesick. You're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have bad posture. You're going to have a backache. You're going to have a headache. You're going to feel cramped, whatever the case may be. Even if you're not into working out, if you go and do anything, if you go on the massage bed, if you go walk, if you like working out, do it on the road. It makes your life a million times better. We sleep in Planet Fitness parking lots when we don't have another outlet. I used to work for Planet Fitness. Never had an issue. Not one time. Great company. They don't care. It's a free pass to shower and to work out and be healthy and the whole 9 yards. The last one is dryer sheets. If you buy dryer sheets and you put them in your shoes and your dirty clothes, no smell.
Oh.
And if you're trying to be cordial and respectful of your bandmates, get dryer sheets.
That's interesting.
They're like $1.
I didn't know about that.
It's $1 for a pack of 20. Go to the Dollar Tree, put them in your shoes after you play a show, not stinky. You're gonna be in a van for at least 2 hours. The average drive on tour is at least 2 hours. Put them in your shoes and your clothes, whatever.
Yeah, it could get a little out of hand if 5 dudes just leave their shoes everywhere. Yeah, gym is. I've seen Bring Me the Horizon. So they did a tour with Fall Out Boy. So I went to the show, and they pretty much been working out at all the Planet Fitnesses where they played. Obviously, they had videos, and I was just thinking it's so crazy if I would go to Planet Fitness somewhere in Concord, because where they played it was kind of closer to Concord, and there's Ollie Sykes working out.
Right.
I'd be like, what is going on?
Yep.
Do you work out a lot on tour, on the road?
I like
or
to
do something.
In the last 2 tours, I've made it more of a, not this last tour, but 2 tours previously. I was still employed at Planet Fitness, so I didn't have to pay for my membership. I was like, hey, why not? I have it. I might as well go in and do short sets. The last tour, it was almost every single day because we were there anyways. And in the morning, I let people sleep. We do shifts of driving. So, usually Nick, our vocalist, is sleeping during that time. So I'm loud and I'm like watching Naruto on my phone, or I'm like listening to music. I'm loud. I'm notorious for being like a little bit rambunctious in the morning. I also have a lot of energy. So I'm like, I'm going to go work out and let him have his piece. So each morning, usually 9 o'clock, 9:30, I'd get up, I'd go work out. I'd go shower. I'd sit in the massage bed. And I feel great. Like for the rest of the day, I feel like my body's not atrophied from being in a car for so long. I feel like I have a good, your circulation, everything. Just feel better. But yeah, I made it a huge just effort to do that every day while I was on the road. It was funny. Tyler and I, our drummer and I, we were doing the set that Kyle showed me on cables, like the upper body set. And Tyler plays drums, so like his arms are already like atrophied from playing. And he like halfway through, he was like, "Nah, bro, I'm done. Like I'm sore." I was like, that's how I was when I first like
started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, arms are dead. So, but we had a great time, and it's just like, I think like, why not? I mean, you're there anyways. You should make use of the, the offer of being able to do this, and it can't hurt you, I think it's a nice balance, and it kind of like on the road, sometimes like being homesick or whatever, missing, my wife or whatever, like I want to do things that are kind of familiar. So like, I think like that's a part of my routine that like kind of makes me feel less weird about being in other states. I'm very well, like fit to be on tour, and I'm very used to it at this point, but you get homesick and you get feel weird. And it's like, I think we were driving through Kentucky and it was like downpour, like the rain was insane. And I just felt weird. I was just like, what if no one comes out to the show? Like, yeah, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being a fine show, but like, you just never know. Like there's some dates where, you can have a lot going on in your band. Like we released a song like that week and like we were feeling good, but like there's things that are going to come up. It's very random while you're on tour, especially like if you're not a huge band, you're like kind of just winging it. And small mindful decisions like that, I think will elevate the morale of not only yourself, your band. Like just like mental health is a whole other thing we could talk about on tour, but just like physical health will go hand in hand with that. Like doing something. So you're stuck in a car, you're sleeping in a car, you're hanging out in a car, you're eating in a car, at a show, in a car, sleeping in a car, in a car. If you do a little gym every day, it feels great.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, it kind of resets you in a way.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I never toured like this, like too many cities and stuff like that and constantly, but I can definitely see that because I've done moving company before and I know what it is to just be constantly in a truck stuck and you want to just get out of there.
Yeah.
So drummers, though, working out is a dangerous thing because Mars, our drummer, he works out a lot, and this dude breaks sticks, breaks cymbals, just banging on the drums. It was funny to me because you said that you worked out with your drummer.
He knows his limits. I think
he knows
he was like, "Hey, I can't. No,
I'm gonna break all the heads."
Yep.
So what's the music that you've been enjoying lately? Like I know you mentioned some knock loose.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you like? There's a new Architects.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard that.
I haven't heard that yet.
It's pretty cool. It's funny how Jordan Fish left BMTH.
Yeah.
And then he does the song with Architects.
Yeah.
And then now Architects sounds like BMTH.
The influence is definitely there. Yeah.
So anything that you listen to?
Yeah. Well, that Poppy song with Knock Loose I thought was really cool because like the breakdown sounds like reggaeton. Like the beat is like It's very groovy and it's like different and it's very cool. There's a couple bands. I'm a huge Holy Fawn fan. They're very like ambient shoegaze rock. Like they have heavy vocals, but they're not always doing it. Do you know that song Decode by Paramore?
Yeah.
It's kind of in that realm. It's very like cinematic and like rock and like jammy, and it's like it feels good. It's just like I always play it in my car because it just puts me in a very like peaceful, like it's good feeling music, but it's interesting and also dark, but not in a dark, chaotic way. I play really heavy music, so I'm that person in the band that is the heavy music advocate. And I think in the last 5 years, that's changed a lot for me. Not only from just being influenced by my band members, but just by expanding my horizons. Like, I think like now I find myself listening to more. I love the shoegaze rock, like moody sounding stuff. Couple bands I really like lately is Love Rarely. They're a band from the UK. Very jammy, very interesting. They have like Midwest emo kind of guitar, but it's like very technical in a way. Love Rarely. I really like Holy Fawn, everything that they do. There's this artist called Iris.exe. She is known for being on a bunch of heavy band songs, but she does mostly electronic music and singing. She was featured on the album Ultra by Vatican, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. They're predominantly a very heavy band. In this album, they have like turnover sounding songs. They have like electronic, like Kingdom Hearts music sounding stuff. They have shoegaze stuff. They have like Code Orange sounding stuff. And then they have like their normal like heavy music. Very versatile album. And then they broke up. I've seen Vatican once before. Incredible band. I really like when I listen to heavy music, I listen to a lot of like Chamber, a lot of Vatican, Invent Animate. I'll never get tired of them. I always listen to them. And then I kind of listen to scores a lot. I listen to a lot of video game scores. I'm that guy that listens to Dark Soul music, like on my way to work. I just think it's beautiful. Like there's a specific song at the end of Dark Souls 1 when you're fighting Gwyn, and it's just beautiful. It's very simple. It's just like very like music box melody, and it's just pretty.
So the Naruto theme music was a good choice then today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why we have that playing in the background. But
yeah, I can thank my wife for a lot of that because she's very. We like the same kind of music, but we're like the polar opposites of like the dynamic of that kind of music. I'm like the chaotic metal fan. She likes the more orchestrated, like orchestral and symphonic metal. She loves Periphery. She loves like Tesseract. She loves like more of the melodic symphonic. I love chaos. When I listen to heavy music, most of the time I like revert to like what is the most dissonant and like off-putting and like terrifying stuff to listen to.
Yeah, your band would be the epitome of that.
Yeah.
Chaos.
Which is funny because now we're pushing that boundary, and like a lot of the songs that you'll hear this year and next year, completely different. Completely different. We have cleans. We don't care if people like them or not. Like I love them. I'm super happy with the work that Nick's been putting in. I'm very excited to push myself with the backing vocals to see how I can contribute and double down on that. The Yellow Wallpaper, to segment real quick, our EP, The Yellow Wallpaper, is kind of this introduction into, as most bands do, the evolution of the next chapter of us. And I'm very excited because it's different for us. So far, we've sprinkled like this amount of like the soft material. And the next song that we're doing is like, it's a heavy song, but like there's parts that are completely different for us.
I feel like with a lot of bands, when you start, maybe obviously you can't play the same music, over and over and over again. Well, some people do.
Yeah.
But like as a musician, you want to kind of like evolve and move forward.
Certainly.
And then what happens, a lot of times you implement something new that maybe you don't usually you don't do. And then that maybe pushes like 10% of your audience a little bit away.
Yeah.
But then you gain like, 50% of a new audience.
Yes.
So
yeah,
that might be,
I get it. Like strategy in bands as far as like what to write and what to put in your writing. Like a lot of people do it to be more radio friendly. A lot of people do it to kind of fit into a niche more. I think we write music for ourselves. I like to think, we'll continue to do that until something changes. I'm not very conscious of that. I'm not like trying to write it for really anything. It's expression to me. I think every song should be a little different. I think it's like, I was watching a video, like a inspirational video, and they say that when you're releasing music, that is the sum of all of what you're going through at that point. And it should always be that. It should be in that moment capturing this like sparkle of like
just your state.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah, like this artistic state and this artistic essence that you have in this moment, and you're just trying to capture that while you have it.
Yeah.
And the more you force it, the more you regress back to like this earlier state, and you're trying to find like, oh, I want to go back to how I used to sound. It's like I try to look at it in the moment, like what are we feeling right now? A lot of our structure of our music isn't structured. A lot of the time we're riding a wave, I think. Linear music's cool. I think every band I've been in is very much been like, let's write something around this feeling. And I feel like a lot of people do that. I'm not very good at constructing things, before I like start playing. That's a guitarist thing too. I think like you have to like jam to kind of figure out where you're at.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah. I just feel like I'm getting really good at that. I feel like I'm like in the moment. I try to capture this like essence of how I feel, or like whatever the case may be. Something inspires me, and then I just elaborate on that. Yeah.
Yeah, the creative stuff is almost like a muscle.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to just, keep exercising and keep trying new things.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you have writer's block. Sometimes, it's, I guess everyone goes through that.
Yeah.
I hit writer's block, for instance, a lot of times. And sometimes you just nail it.
Yep.
And some funny thing, most of the songs that came out like super fast and super natural,
Yeah.
usually are the best songs, funny enough.
And you're not thinking, you're not constructing it intentionally. I also think that depends on a person. There's a lot of people that can just construct things, beforehand, like I said earlier, in in the intention is already there, and then they just intentionally piece each part side by side. I think for me, it's like just keeping the flow and less about like what's the next part.
Yeah, it could be that with time, if you wrote like 500 songs or something, or let's say attempted to write 500 songs, after a while, maybe that's what I think Kellen, a lot of times he's just like, oh yeah, let's do something like octane wide, something octane here, and then we'll go into this verse and this and that. It's just like he kind of already planned it out, and I'm like, I cannot do that. Like, how? You a wizard? Like, what?
I do like a little bit of both. Like, I think I know your writing style, and I've seen, like, especially like the progression of like how you've constructed songs, and I think I'm a little bit of both. Like, I try to like get all my ideas out and then I construct them after the pad. Like a lot of people piece the puzzle together. Tyler is very much like, let's finish this one part and then worry. I will throw 9 different parts at him and he's just like, hold on. He's like, give me a second.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
I like am always just like, I have to just keep going, because as soon as that flame dims, I'm just like, I'm out.
Yeah.
He's very much like methodical, like, okay, what would make sense here? And that's like what I've learned to kind of mediate is how much of that like passion can I hold to while also keeping in mind like what makes sense in the song and what flow state. That's a common thing everyone talks about, is like in flow state, a lot of people have different ways that they, write, perform, whatever the case may be. For me, I'm merging two polar opposites and trying to just like organize that in the best way. Lately, Tyler showed me something that really helped me. I used a template. Every time I would open up my DAW, I would have a template.
Kind of like verse, chorus.
Not even, I'm talking about like all of my tracks already had plugins.
Okay.
They already had EQ.
Yeah. Like a writing template. Yeah.
They had drum, EQ. He was like, stop. He's like, stop doing that. I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean? I was like, you know how long it takes? He's like, doesn't matter. He's like, every single time you load up a song, you need to start from scratch. Or at least like, you need to stop making all these big decisions right away, because that's going to box in all of your ideas into what you expect this to sound like and what you expect how everything is supposed to go. He will literally load in, maybe not like he'll have his drum processing and all of his bass, all that stuff, but like guitar wise, he's like every single time tweak something different, whatever else. What I do lately is I just have a lot of tracks with a lot of different things, and I just like start with something very plain and I kind of move it around and create new, and like, but I was very much locked into like everything consistent wise has to be the same. Everything, like my template is my guide. Your template can lie to you. You can get very used to using the same template and like being, at least in our case, I think like that's helped me so much with just like learning mixing, learning songwriting. Don't say I'm a songwriter. Like I'm always learning. I think like it's a never ending process of like taking inspiration from everybody and learning and trying new things. And that has helped me a lot. And just like in the span of a month and a half, like has changed my perspective completely.
Yeah. The whole like mixing, and music in general, especially mixing and sound design and all that stuff, it's almost like a huge like ocean of stuff, and you're there like with a little spoon, just like getting it little by little. It's just crazy to me.
I think that's a stigma of being guitarists as well too, is like we're always like, we need the perfect tone, we need the perfect amp and cab, and our guitar has to be this way. I think like we adopt that into production too much. And like production, he also told me there's no right ways how to do anything.
Oh yeah,
which I like was under the wrong assumption. I was like, knowing that it is a creative space to like just put stuff out and create something new every time has like almost lifted a mass weight off of my chest of like, hey, like this is a creative outlet. This is a space where I can make something. It's like, for example, it's like if you were an artist, a painter, and you started every single painting with an outline. Yeah,
I see that.
What's the point?
Yeah. To me, personally, if I would start with, let's say, not a template, with a template, but limited template, where I still have to do certain guitar stuff. Me as a person, I start over obsessing with like fixing a guitar tone, and you just like
you get stuck.
Yeah, you get stuck.
Also a guitar problem. I told Tyler the same thing. He's just like, you just gotta.
Yeah.
You gotta your ear will develop like where to lead you, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's what I said. I was like, I use a template because I don't want to have to spend 45 minutes obsessing over my snare. I was like, it's not going to sound, I was like, it's just not going to sound good anyways. It's just like, let's just roll with it. Like, that's a very one-dimensional guitarist thing is I like, at least for myself, like I fall in this, like this dynamic of like, I need the perfect template because I just need to go and start writing.
Yeah.
He was just like, you can do that with a very plain tone that doesn't limit you creatively in any way. Like, don't do any hard EQ curves other than like the obvious like things that would cause problems.
Yeah.
But don't like limiting yourself in those ways. I think like, at least in my perspective, has really helped me. Maybe someone that knows a lot more about EQing, production, the use of plugins and everything, maybe like their template is a good representation of any song that could come out of them. But for me, like understanding the outline, I don't want to make any huge decisions right away. That's helped me a lot. But everyone's different.
Yeah, it would be a different, like you said, if he's a more like step-by-step type of writing, for him it makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you, like me, somewhat more like inspirational type of writer, having that flow state.
Yeah. You need to capture that in the moment.
Yeah, or obsessing over that EQ or a cabinet or mic placement or...
It'll ruin it.
Yeah, you just like... I lose it all the time. Yeah. I lose it if someone calls me on the phone and I'm like, hey. And then I'm like...
Riff is just like...
Yep. So I guess I would say as many people there, more like...
Input.
Yeah, well, more ways you can do it. Whatever works for you, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely certain tips and tricks on how to, you know, be more creative in certain aspects. Yeah. My dog is just like bothering us a little bit. Come here, buddy.
Let me write a riff.
He's just like, I can write double C sharp drop riff.
Take my job. Yeah. Limiting creativity is definitely like whatever you can do to capture that in the moment while also not making crazy moves right away.
Yeah.
Has helped me.
Oh, yeah. There's
like I said,
sure.
everyone's different. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a way to do with music. You can do it in any way and shape or form.
Yeah.
As long as it's creative.
Yeah.
Somewhat original.
Yeah. Tyler telling me that really changed my whole perspective this year. Is like, I feel like I'm doing everything wrong. Mm-hmm. There's more ethical and efficient ways of what I'm doing, but wrong is subjective.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like he said, there's no correct way of mixing something or writing something.
Yeah.
That's the beauty about music and what we do.
Yeah.
And gear.
Yeah.
And music and everything.
It's free
together.
range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
working at a music store too, like so many people were like, I don't even want to play guitar. There's just so much I have to like absorb. I'm like, that's the beauty is like you have so many ways to become like an individual. It's like, because there's no right way to do it, you know, we're not talking about theory or, you know, the measurements of whatever, but because there's so many options, there's so many different genres, so many different ways of doing it, that pushes you to individualize yourself. And I think there's beauty in that. And I always encourage people being like, hey, like, don't ever feel like you're in the wrong. Like technique and in theory are the two outliers of that. Like, I think those you have to, there's always a more efficient way to look at that. But as far as like the path that you take, I guess, to get to a level of being a professional musician or a professional, you know, producer, mixing artist, whatever, like that's a choice. That's a path that you're taking. Technique and like I said, technique and theory, those are outliers.
Yeah, there's no blueprint on how to do this for any musician or band, how to make it.
Yeah.
Everyone would have their own
yeah.
path, unique path.
Right.
And like, that's what's cool about this. And that's why otherwise every musician would be a famous, popular musician. That's about it.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. So
if you work in the industry, even though there's no right or wrong way to do that, very easily you will be judged accordingly. If you make the non-safe choices as far as like what kind of mixing you're doing or what kind of playing. But I mean, once you start like meddling with the creative passion versus like the occupational, like this is my role, I'm being viewed as a professional from all these other people, like you're always gonna get judged.
Oh yeah.
You might as well try to figure out how to make yourself famous and make yourself like proud just doing your own thing. Like, I'm sure Jimi Hendrix pissed off a bunch of people at that time because he was not following the grain,
Yeah.
That's what creates new waves,
And we live in the internet age.
Absolutely.
You're going to get judged for
absolutely
any reason.
It's the easiest way.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way. You just look at your phone and then it's like, wow, I'm doing everything wrong. I'm a sponge. I will listen all day to someone telling me how to do my thing better. As soon as someone like belittles me, there's a difference.
Oh yeah.
It is immediately over my head. I'm just like, you have to have thick skin with this. I think I just don't care a lot of the time anymore. It's like I've been big dogged by so many people that it doesn't matter anymore.
Well, you kind of get to this point eventually, in with anything, any creative stuff, or I mean, hey, even at work. At some point in time, you just get to the point you just whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I guess that's one of the lessons. Just don't care about that stuff too much. Well, where can we find Dakota Brown on social media?
You can't.
You can't. I'm off of this stuff.
I'm a figment of your imagination. My YouTube is Hokage_Dakota, which is also my Instagram. My band, Wiltwither, official, Wiltwither YouTube, Wiltwither. Carrier pigeon, whatever is easiest for most people.
What's the carrier pigeon?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I don't do anything on YouTube anymore. I would love to start getting back on YouTube, but covers have been slow. But I have a bunch of content up, and I'm always playing guitar. So yeah,
cool, man.
Cool stuff. Thanks.
Well, I appreciate you doing it.
Yeah,
it was a blast.
Awesome.
Yeah, and maybe we'll do an annual, no, not an annual, like a anniversary pod.
Yeah.
Yeah, since the first one and then 10th one maybe.
Yeah. See if I quit by then.
Quit music?
Yeah.
Probably not.
See if I'm like in college or something.
Yeah, you play August Burns Red and you're going to be like, that's it, I'm out.
It, I'm done.
I'm good.
Yeah. Real estate. You need a home?
Yeah.
Too bad.
Yeah.
America.
All right.
Thanks for having me again, man. It means a lot.
No, man. Thank you. And Ali also says thanks to everyone.
Thank you, everyone. PBS Kids out.